Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's talk about accountability today. Let's talk about accountability. It's really, really interesting. This is a topic that we are seeing so much of right now as we're talking to different people who are working on, leading their teams, leading their companies, and just really, I want to say dealing, but just navigating relationships. And one of the things that I have had people say to me a lot in the last month is something around, I just wish my people would be more self motivated. I just wish that they would be more accountable. They would do their work, that I didn't have to tell them to do their work. I wish that they would understand why it's so important for them to be doing their work. And just a lot of like a general feeling of people just feeling like they're dragging people along, or they're trying to convince them to do their jobs or whatever it might be. And I want to offer this. I don't know if that resonates for you and what you're going through right now. But I'm seeing it enough that I just thought I would offer a couple of things to start looking at in terms of how do you hold accountability? How do you create accountability? How do you make sure that that your people are working in a way that's accountable, that you don't have to hold a carrot or a stick. You're not having to reward them for their work, and you're also not having to, punish is too strong of a word, but like put I guess I can't think of a better word right now than punishment. Like, you're going to get in trouble if you don't do your work, or you're gonna, like, how do you lead in a way that creates accountability without using the carrot and the stick? And I think the first place I want to start in this conversation, and I don't know how long I'm going to talk about this because it's just something that I'm going to riff on this actually. But the first piece is, accountability. In order for us as leaders to create accountability in our people and in our workforces, we actually have to really honor it for ourselves. It's important that I'll use myself. It's important that I, as a leader in my organization, that I am coming to the table in a way that is accountable myself, that I am showing up in a way that is present, that I'm showing up in a way that has integrity, that I am showing up in a way that I am doing what I say I'm going to do, that I am honoring and speaking to when I drop the ball on something, that I own my mistakes, that I own where I might be challenged by something. The accountability has to start with me as a leader first. So I want to invite, if any of you are being challenged by this right now, I want you to just look real quick in the mirror and just look at how are you personally doing with holding accountability for yourself, and how is that getting reflected back to you by your team possibly. Just as a side note, we have zero control over what anybody else does. Zero control. Even if you're their boss, you're giving them a paycheck, you have control in that they have a job because you're giving them a paycheck, and they obviously want to keep their job. But it's that's not a really inspiring place to be leading from. So I want for you to be able to lead from a place that is so inspiring that people work for you because they want to, not because they have to, not because they're being given a paycheck, but actually because they're so inspired. Part of the way that you're going to create that inspiration in your people and in the team that you work with, in your direct reports, just in general with your kids, is to come from a place of integrity and accountability ourselves. So I'm going to come back to me again. If I want my team to show up in a way that's accountable, to show up in a way that's safe for them to say when they've made a mistake, or when, for them to really own mistakes, et cetera, I want to make sure that I am, first of all, bringing that energy and that intention to my team from myself, that I'm actually showing up in the way that's accountable and holding integrity and honoring mistakes, et cetera. But I also want to make sure that I'm showing up in a way that creates psychological safety for my team to say, hey, I didn't do this. I forgot to do this. I don't know how to do this. I need help with doing this. I'm really frustrated, whatever it might be. So accountability starts with the leader first. I think that's the first piece I want you to have right now, is accountability starts with the leader first. So if you're having a problem with creating accountability in your company, you've got to look at yourself. You want to look at how are you doing with it? How are you creating space for people to tell you the truth in the company? And what is it? How are you actually setting the tone to have a more accountable workforce? So start there. That, honestly, I know for some people, they don't like to hear that. It irritates them. They want it to be about their people. I get it. But honestly, it's your get out of jail free card. It is the most liberating place you can look is what are you doing? How are you showing up as a leader that is creating the space for your people to be more accountable or not? If you find that you're not showing up in a way that's creating more accountability, or if you're finding that you're not operating from integrity or you're operating from a lot of blame or whatever might be going on, if you find that and you're willing to really own it and go, here are some places where I could actually really up level my presence and how I'm showing up with my team. Here are some places I can be more accountable. Here are some places I can speak to how I'm doing. If you find that, I'm excited for you because you have 100% control over shifting how you're showing up with the team. You have 100% control over shifting your own level of accountability and integrity in the way you're communicating. So 100% control. You have no control over anybody else, including your team. 100% control of you. So that's the first place to look. Second place to look. And when I talk about a leader, I'm talking about it could be the CEO of the company, it can be professional, it could be a manager, director, it could be a frontline worker, it could be anything. Because the way that I look at it is everybody is leading. Everybody's leading, because if you're not leading in your own life, then who is leading your life for you? So everyone, regardless of your position, is a leader in my book. The more responsibility you have as a leader, the higher your title, the higher up the ladder you go in terms of leadership responsibility in your company, the more responsibility you have here to make sure that you're doing the things that we're talking about here. So I just want to offer that. When I talk about leaders, if you're watching this and you are a brand new professional, very young, right out of school, if you're still in school, I'm still speaking to you in terms of how are you showing up in a way that is with integrity and accountability so that you can create more of that in your life with the people that are hanging out with you and following you and whatnot. So everyone's a leader. Okay, so that's one. So accountability, you want to bring accountability up. You want to create more accountability. Really check yourself first and see how you're modeling it, because it is contagious. The more we model the behaviors that we want to see, the more honest we are about that, the more we are honest about what we might be struggling with, where we're making mistakes as leaders, the more that creates safety and space for other people around us to do the same. And then we can actually have real conversations, figure out what is needed, and then move forward towards solutions. So how do you actually inspire your workforce now? So there's that. You're going to be your biggest inspiration. But what are some other ways to really inspire your people to take more accountability besides you modeling it, you being it, you building a really great psychologically safe environment for them to talk to you honestly? What are other ways you can do it? So other ways are, one, really help your people get connected to why it's important that they are accountable for their role. Why does it matter, the work that they're doing? Why does the work that they're doing matter? And I have to move around on this one, because this is such low-hanging fruit that is missed all the time. And the reason why it's missed is because y'all are so busy, you don't think about it. So an invitation to pause for a moment. Maybe we'll rename this series The Pause. I don't know, maybe I should start something called The Pause. But a moment to pause and to think about, when is the last time you sat down with your employees and really got them connected to why their work matters, why their role in the company matters, what they're doing in the company, why that is so important to the success of the company, to the success of the impact that you want to have on other human beings. Get them connected to that. Get them connected to why their work is important, what their role has to do with the success of the company, the success of the impact you're trying to have. And then also why they're important. Like, when is the last time you sat down and really were very present with your employees and asked them, how are you doing? What do you need? Do you feel supported? Do you feel seen? Do you feel like you're being well used in the company? Do you see how your role ties into why this is so important? Do you see why you are so important? Literally, you want to create more accountability with your people. You want to connect with their purpose. You want to connect with their feeling valued and feeling like they have meaning in the company, and with their feeling really, really seen. If you can create that with your people, if you can create truly present, authentic, safe space with your people, and you get them to understand why they're so important to the company, really, not faking it, not checking it off the list, but really, truly. And this requires exquisite intentions, energy, and presence. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But if you can do that authentically, you will start to solve your accountability problems. I've seen it happen a million times, but I also see it is the quickest thing to be disregarded because people are so busy and they don't want to take the time to just stop and have that conversation. So you as leader model accountability and integrity, and really doing what you say, do what you say what you do, et cetera, et cetera. You as leader model that. Then get your people connected to why it's so important and letting them know that you see them so they can actually start to engage with their own accountability and integrity themselves. And then, of course, the third way is there are skills and tools and accountability frameworks and expectation setting and feedback frameworks and all that good stuff. And if you're interested in learning that, we will absolutely be happy to train your people or to train you in how do you actually do that. We've got learning labs, we've got all sorts of stuff. But honestly, all that stuff, all those tools, all those frameworks mean nothing if you don't have the first two things that I just gave you. So you starts with you first. You set the tone. You are setting the tone for accountability in your organization. Next is you really having honest, clear conversations and letting your people know why it's so important that they're accountable. How do they tap into that own intrinsic motivation? You can't motivate anybody. I've done a video on that. You go back and watch that one. You can't motivate anybody from the outside, by the way. You can do it with a carrot and a stick. It doesn't last. It's not sustainable. And it sure is not going to get you your best, most creative, amazing work. So you first, then really working with your people in a very present and intentional way. Great intentions, clean intentions, not manipulative intentions, clear, clean intentions, clean energy, and incredibly present. You do it with them from that place, you will change the conversation. And then the third way is actually using tools and frameworks and conversations and structures for accountability. And how do you hold accountability? How do you set expectations? What is a conversation when you break accountability? We have a beautiful lab that we do on our Positive Energy Workplace Initiative platforms, a gorgeous lab around conflict navigation, a gorgeous lab around expectation setting, accountability, and whatnot. It's all available to you if you're interested in that. But in the meantime, for today, just look at how are you setting the tone for accountability in your own life? And are you inspiring your people to be accountable? And for those of you, because I have had these conversations before where literally I've had people say to me, Anese, I pay my people to do a job. Why should I be responsible for inspiring them to be accountable or inspiring them to take care of themselves? Well, because it's your job as a leader. It's part of leadership, is creating the space for people to step into their most accountable, present, best self so they can do their very best work, have their very best impact. That's part of leadership, is inspiring, creating the space to do that. So why should you care? Because you're put on this planet to lead and you're leading. So if you're in a leadership position and you're leading other human beings, that's why you should care. So that's it. All right. More to come. Is this useful to you? If this is useful to you, please share it, like it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow, do all the things. Let me know how this resonates for you. If you want to join us for an executive forum, I'm sure we have one coming up when you watch this. If you want to talk to ACI about how can we really work with you around your leadership presence, your accountability, creating an authentically positive energy workplace, happy to have a conversation. Just reach out. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And here's to being accountable and being in integrity with ourselves, which, by the way, it's worth saying, I can't believe I didn't say this, but the way to confidence, I'm going to do another video on this. The way to confidence is not given to us from outside resources. It's not given to us. Confidence is not given to us from the outside. That's unsustainable confidence. Confidence comes from being in integrity with ourselves, being present, being congruent, and being accountable. That's where confidence comes from. So start with you first. It's contagious. Your people will catch it. And if they don't, and they don't want to be accountable, that's a totally different conversation. But what I am finding is that when leaders really get what I'm saying, it changes the game in the organization. So happy to talk more. You can talk with myself or my team or whatever. We're here to help. But go forth and lead and have a beautiful day. And we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.